Well, here we are again. Try to do this in a little more relaxed atmosphere this time. Still on the Connecticut thing a little bit, but kind of from a slightly different perspective. You see a lot of things going on now. People calling for gun bans, gun confiscations. Going after the tool instead of the problem. And the problem is, of course, and I'm going to ask you all this right now to do this. The problem is us as a people, what we consider to be important, our entertainment, which has gotten to be a bloodlust. Those killing games. Those are Department of Defense programs that were built in the 70s and 80s to teach people to kill instinctively, not even instinctively, just without thinking. So, we really don't want our kids to have those. We want to raise our level of consciousness. And I talk about so many bad things so often. I want you to know that this good side is in us, and we need to let that come out. The psychotropic drugs that we're putting our kids on, and everybody, as I mentioned, suicides are up. Ritalin on our kids. Kids are kids. This thing that they call attention deficit disorder. They're going to have a name for every personality type out there now. The psychologists are going nuts. They have to justify their living, I suppose. Everybody's a little different. Some people are a little more energetic than others. Let's not jump and start giving these drugs to our kids, because you add that to subliminal messages, to these games that they're playing, and the improper use of tools, be they weapons or hand tools or cars or whatever, then we're going to have a problem. So let's try to raise our level of consciousness. I think that's a good idea. We need to do that for our survival. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about what's happening here. Kind of interesting, I told some people that the UN's getting involved. They want to disarm the American citizen. They want to disarm all the citizens. And now we're having foreign governments that are part of the UN demanding that. China just demanded that President Obama do something to disarm the American people, and you're going to be shocked to see what they suggested. Remember, the Chinese government has probably killed 100 million of their own people in their purges. Again, the Russia, the Stalinist era, same thing. And that these people are going to tell our government what to do. And you got to understand, there are voices that are really going along with this, especially in the liberal establishment, which has a real stranglehold on us right now. But getting back to China, let's talk about a few things. There was an esoteric writer in the 18th century that discussed what would happen historically, very much like George Orwell or like Alex Huxley, people like that, that were insiders to these eugenicists groups, these world government groups, on how they wanted to take over different countries. And this one esoteric writer actually talked about the Chinese invading us at a point when the United States would be at war with itself. Not the American Civil War. This is not what they're talking about. They're talking about something much later than that. And that there would be a breakdown in society, and the people would be warring against each other in the different states and this kind of thing. And again, not the war between states. That's not what they were talking about. But at any rate, this esoteric writer talked about that, and specifically about the Chinese coming into this country. Now, let me point this out. The Chinese have already been invited by our government. They run many of our ports, especially on the West Coast. And what you have to understand about the Chinese corporations is that they're one and the same with the Chinese military. So you have military people in the Chinese government already. And you'd be a fool not to think that they don't have ammunition and weapons and things like that. Of course they do. We gave the Panama Canal back to the Panamanians in around 1990. The Panamanians turned around, I'm sure under our instructions, and gave the Panama Canal to the Chinese. The Chinese military runs the Panama Canal now. American people they don't know what's going on in their world. Okay, so they've got the ports. They're already here. There are Chinese military people here, as there are a lot of other UN military troops. I've trained them myself here. I already know that. Not all their equipment was here when I was doing that. They were using ours, but there was some at that time, and I would not doubt that there's more today. If the American military refuses to come down on the American people, the UN will be used. I guarantee it. So we're in some danger here. I want to show you a clip I'm not kidding about this thing with China. First thing I'm going to show you is this clip of a missile that was fired off the coast of California, just outside of LA, back in November of 2010. Let me show you that. Okay, this is for all you that either don't know about this or are really not sure what happened. As you can see, this is actually a Fox News post on the web, and the date is November 9th, 2010. So, you know, that's been 2 years ago. Let me show you this picture that they have of this missile going up here. And I'd go ahead and play the video for you, but I'm not going to do that. I just wanted to show you that so that you know that this is for real. Now, the caption here says, officials confident missile shot off Los Angeles, not for military or foreign military. I can assure you that that is not a firework. I can assure you that that is at least a U.S. naval weapon, or as I have heard through some other sources, some people that I know quite well, that this was actually fired from a Chinese submarine. So we got to take that into consideration along with what's going on here. Okay. So there was some disagreement. Oh, this was somebody, you know, firing this, you know, fireworks or something like that. Anybody who knows anything about weaponry and fireworks knows that that's no firework. That is a ballistic missile fired by a submarine. That's exactly what that is. There was also a situation back in 2001, if you might recall. There was a plane shot out of the sky, a passenger plane, after it took off from, it was either LaGuardia or JFK, I forget which one. It was not long after 9/11. And they finally decided that it was some other kind of malfunction, but a lot of witnesses saw a missile go up to this airplane, whether it was a military operation, a drill gone awry, or whether it was one of these things where a foreign government was shooting it down, or who knows. But this thing on the West Coast was not a benign thing. This was a shot over the bow. Because at that point in time, if you look at it, they were talking about, our government was talking about doing some things to our currency which would directly affect the Chinese investments here. And, you know, that's war talk if you understand international relations. So that was a missile from a Chinese submarine, just so you know. Yes, then they prove that they can penetrate our defenses. Okay. Obama, he's bowed down to almost every foreign leader that he's met, and we're not going to leave out China. He did the same thing with the Chinese president. If you haven't seen that video or that picture, please look at it. This is a man who's agreed to subject the American people to the New World Order, and he's doing a superb job of that. If you look at it, you'll understand why he's bowing to all these foreign dignitaries. That's not a thing of courtesy. He's subjugating the American people to their power. Okay, let's go to one other thing here I want to point out. You know, the UN wants to disarm citizens in all the countries. There's a resolution before them right now, and of course our government's ready to sign on to it. You hear all these politicians calling for disarming the American people by force if necessary. Here is a piece from the Chinese newspaper. It's the English version of it, and I want you to see this. All right, and this is a copy on the web of the Chinese newspaper, the English version of it. Let me give you the address right here so you can see it. See, it's right there, news.xinhuanet.com, the English version of it. It's on this date right there. That's the date of the entry of this particular story. Now, as you can see, it says right there, innocent blood demands no delay for U.S. gun control. Interesting, the Chinese are all concerned about American children. Yeah, right. You know, they've killed millions of their own people, and they continue to do that. I did a little tidbit on that about the Falun Gong here not too long ago, but this is what I want to show you. This is incredible. Right here, look at this. Action speaks louder than words. If Obama wants to take practical measures to control guns, he has to make preparation for what? Look at that. a protracted war and considerable political cost. They are talking about doing to us what the Chinese government under Mao did to their own people and what Stalin did to the people in the purges. They're talking about a war with the American people. Now remember, Obama bowed down to the president of the Chinese government. He bows down to everybody but his own people, which is what he should be doing. So there you have it. So we'll talk about a little more of this. Okay, so here we are, the Chinese saying that Obama has to make war, a protracted war on American gun owners. Now, if you understand the significance of that, that's what China did when they killed millions of their people who resisted their takeover. And those who didn't resist, that they just wanted to steal their farms. Something, by the way, is happening here right now. So we're having foreign governments who are telling our government that they need to disarm the American people. Well, gee, if you're going to watch this country fall apart, which they know it is going to, and you want to come in and take it over, it would be real nice not to run into an armed citizenry, wouldn't it? Admiral Yamamoto in World War II, the Japanese High Military Command was considering invading the United States. Do you know why they didn't? Yamamoto said it pretty succinctly. He said there would be a rifle under every blade of grass and a person who knows how to use it. It would be real nice if the American people were disarmed, wouldn't it? Make big issues, make it possible in these gun-free zones where the victims, actually it's a victim zone, a gun-free zone, where the victims can't defend themselves against people with weapons. And that's real convenient. We do it out of supposed safety, for the people involved, and then we allow these psychopaths to come in here and to hurt our loved ones. We have a right to defend ourselves, and there should be no gun-free zones, period. All right? All right, well, I think that's all I'm going to go into right now. Go back to this thing about raising our level of consciousness. And what I mean by that is being aware, not only of yourself, but of yourself in others. The old axiom, the old commandment, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Do something good at least once a day for someone else. And if you do it more than once a day, that's even better. Get away from, Isaiah said, who will be able to live in everlasting burnings. And what he's talking about is in light, bright light, in place where God dwells. And his answer was, those who will stop their ears from the hearing of blood, in other words, talking about, murdering people for gain, whatever. So let's get away from these games of destruction and these attitudes of destruction. I'm not saying you can't defend yourself. I'm saying let's get away from all things that would be considered murder, okay? Let's give life. All right, thanks everybody. Talk to you next time.